So there is a... Hi, Stu. How are you?
Good, Glenn. How are you?
Good. There's a story in The Blaze today. Trump's economic blueprint is hiding in plain sight. Let me give you just a little bit of it. The Trump tariff plan has rocked the stock market and economists around the world, with the president notoriously labeling the implementation of his tariffs as Liberation Day, while others called his reciprocal moves a huge mistake. Many have argued that Trump did not actually implement reciprocal tariffs at all, though. Look no further than on X, where even through his platform's owner, Elon Musk, is one of Trump's top advisors. White House post about the tariffs was slapped with community notes label that said the numbers from the administration were not based on actual foreign tariffs at all, blah, 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 blah. So the story goes on to say, so what is he doing? And I would like to, they interviewed an expert that is with the president, Stephen Moran. Big-time economic advisor. He's worked at the Treasury Department and one of the top advisors now for the president. And he talks about a couple of things. He talks about the Mar-a-Lago Accord, which is speculation. Don't know if this is what the president is doing, et cetera, et cetera. But there's also something that Stephen wrote about, and I'll talk about it here in a second, that seems to be laying out the same course that the president may be on. So let me explain this to you, because what they're claiming is that the president may be tweaking the value of the U.S. dollar to help America out. And let me go over this, because there's some serious risks attached to this one. So imagine the U.S. dollar as the coolest toy on the playground, and everybody wants to play with it because it's the best. Nobody thought we could have a better toy than this one. That toy is called the world's reserve currency, meaning that countries use it as gold. It is their savings account, and they use it for trading, for savings, for buying stuff globally. Now, the Mar-a-Lago Accord, which the Blaze says might be a Trump administration plan, wants to make that toy a little less shiny on purpose by devaluing the dollar, basically making it worth less compared to other countries' money, in particular the Chinese yuan. Why? Well, imagine you have a lemonade stand, and our lemonade is really pricey because it's traded in dollars. And you got to use dollars, and, dollars are just really expensive. Our lemonade now is much more expensive. But across the street, China is selling theirs way cheaper. So everybody is buying their stuff from China. Well, if we would devalue our dollar, our lemonade would get cheaper, and more people would buy from us than from China. That's a very dangerous game we play. The idea is to make American goods like cars, steel, cheaper to sell overseas, which would boost our industries and create jobs over here. Okay. Now, the Blaze story also mentions another goal, helping our massive national debt, which is now $34 trillion. If the dollar is worth less, then the debt is easier to pay off. It's like owing 100, but now 100 isn't as much as it used to be, so it's less of a burden to repay. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. I think Germany did this. I think that's what Germany did. Devaluing the dollar can cause inflation, which means prices go up for everything. So your favorite candy bar, you walk into the store, used to be $1, it's now $5. And if it's made overseas, it's guaranteed to be $5 because now the tariffs on it and everything else, and we've devalued our dollar. So all the foreign stuff is far more expensive since our dollar buys less. Okay. It's different if you're buying it with gold, because gold, dollar and gold, it doesn't change with the dollar's value. It seems like it's going up, but it's actually not. The dollar is going down, so it takes more dollars. When you see the price of gold is up, no. Usually that means the dollar is down, okay? So because we're not buying everything in gold or saving gold, nor are other countries, the price hike hits hard. Now imagine that happening to everything: groceries, gas, clothes. Well, the Blaze and Stephen Mirren warned that this kind of inflation could be a disaster for Americans. Gee, you think? It's not good. It's not good. Now, there's another huge risk here. Devaluing our dollar to pay down the debt could be seen as an act of war. If I have $1 trillion of our debt and I want you to pay $1 trillion back, if you start devaluing your dollar and now you're only really giving me $500 billion for my $1 trillion that I have in my savings account, I'm kind of pissed at you. You're intentionally stealing from my account, right? China has well over $1 trillion of our bonds, U.S. Treasury bonds, in their piggy bank. We devalue our dollar. We're taking money out of their piggy bank and just setting it on fire. Could make them furious. You know, they might see it as an economic attack. The Blaze pointed out that this could spark a trade war, but maybe even a war. We're talking about trillions of dollars. Don't like to poke a beehive, you know, just because some of the honey inside might be really good. No, let's not poke the beehive unless you're prepared for all of the possible consequences. Now, the Blaze mentioned something called the Plaza Accord, which happened back in 1985, and it was a deal that was made in 85. We got together at the Plaza Hotel in New York with countries like Japan and Germany, and the agreement was to weaken the U.S. dollar to help American industries, because back then our dollar was super strong and it was hurting our exports like now. And it worked for a while, except Japan got hit hard. Their money got too strong, their exports tanked, and they ended up in decades-long economic slump. Ever wonder what happened? Remember when Japan was huge? They owned everything, and it was like, I think they forced me now to name my next child Sony. And then all of a sudden it stopped, and you're like, what happened? Well, they just crashed. Yeah, why did they crash? Because of the Plaza Accord. We weakened our dollar, which made everything from Japan more expensive, and that put them out. Now, the Mar-a-Lago Accord is like a modern-day version of that, except this time it's aimed at China, and the stakes are much, much bigger. So what's the upside of this? Well, it could make American goods cheaper abroad, so our factories will start, buzzing again. We'll create more jobs. It also might shrink our trade deficit. That's when we buy more from other countries than we sell to them. We need to sell more things to them. If our stuff is cheaper, then we sell more and the gap closes. Third, like I say, it could make our debt feel lighter to pay off, at least in theory. But the risks of this are massive. Besides inflation and the act of war thing, if we make our dollar less shiny, other countries also might say, I'm not going to play with that toy anymore. I'm not going to hold that toy. Wait a minute, it's the greatest. Well, no, not anymore. Because now it has cost my treasury all kinds of money. I've lost half my money because it's not gold. And that was kind of the plan here, was that you would never devalue your dollar, United States, and that way we would hold your dollar as our reserve currency. That's a very, very big deal. If we lose our reserve currency status in the world, we lose all of our VIP privileges. We can't borrow money cheap. Everything gets pricey, much, much more pricey. Blaze also warned that China might dump our treasury bonds. That could crash our financial markets. Look, he's playing Jenga, and I hope he's the greatest Jenga player of all time, but he's playing Jenga. I don't know if they're going for this, Blaze thinks that it's likely. Stephen Miram, he wrote or co-wrote something called A User's Guide to Restructuring the Global Trade System. It spells out this whole plan. And people have been saying, no, that's not what Trump is doing. But he wrote this before Trump got into office, and he's on the Trump team. And it seems to be, mirroring exactly what is happening. He talked about using tariffs, taxes on imports, pressure China into a deal, suggest national security rules to force everything through. This is exactly what the president is doing. And with an advisor like Mirren in his corner, I mean, there's a chance this is what he's cooking up, especially since Trump loves the idea of boosting American industries and taking China on. But it's a very, very risky game. It's, like we're at a carnival, gang, and I really want that stuffed bear. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to get you that stuffed bear. Instead of using the BB gun, though, you're using a shotgun loaded with slugs. You might win the bear, but you also might kill everybody behind the counter with it and take down the whole stand. So I'm just glad that I'm the one explaining it and not having to make the decision on it, because this is we are in a high stakes game. Never seen anything played. Have you seen anything played this high stakes?
No, and it is a high stakes game. What does this mean for, let's say, the rest of his presidency? Like, as far as the other things that we are cheering on that he's doing,
if this doesn't work,
right?
Nothing. I mean, he'll not be able to do anything.
He won't be able to do anything.
No, I don't think so. If this wins, we're golden for a long time. If this loses, I don't think we even hold the House or the Senate, and we don't win in 28.
That's a big risk big, win big, I suppose.
It really
right?
is.
Yeah.
And I don't know the odds. I mean, I know what everybody says.
Never tell me the
are.
odds. Never tell me the odds.
Never tell you the odds. I like to know the odds. Before I put my money down on the table, I like to know the odds.
That's not what Han Solo said.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to adjust your theory there. Yeah, no, I think it's really it's a big game, and it is different too. It's interesting because I always remember Trump talking so confidently and at length about wanting a strong dollar. Like, I always thought that was a big part of his theory.
I think what he's trying to...
So maybe
here's how I would interpret what I read in the Blaze. This is how I would interpret what he's doing. He's not actually trying to do that over the long term. He's not trying to bring the price of the debt down. What he's trying to do is bring our dollar down far enough, force China to keep their dollar, their yuan, up, and kill them short term, and then get out of this and reverse it. You know what I mean? I think he plays a great game of chicken.
Oh yeah,
and I think that's what he's doing. I don't think this is his plan. This is my long-term plan. We're always going to do this. I'm going to bring the dollar down to zero. It wouldn't make sense.
Right.
And it doesn't go with what he says about a strong dollar. You need to have a strong dollar, okay? If you're going to be the world's reserve currency, this is not a good idea. However, if he's playing it short-term and he's playing chicken, it might just work because China is in a very precarious situation. They lose the ability to trade their stuff cheaply, they're in trouble. Overnight, they're in trouble.
Yeah, that's very true. There's so much based on exports. And it's funny, they've been manipulating their currency forever.
They always do this.
And they, I've never looked at that as a good thing for them.
No.
Right? Like, basically what they're doing is they're subsidizing a giant electronics sale for the United States. And that does not seem like a good policy to me. And one I've never heard an American politician advocate, including Donald Trump.
Well, we can't. We promised the world we wouldn't do this. That's why we were in so much trouble in 2008. We changed our policy. We said, you know what? Take care of America first. We would not have bailed all of those banks out had we stuck to the deal we made for the rest of the world. We won't do this. So you can trust that the dollar will remain sound.
Trust us.
Yes, trust us.
Always just trust us. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. Everything will be fine.
Well, it worked for a very long time.
Yes.
We did it for a very long time, but in 2008, we violated that. And now, I don't know where we are on that.
The good thing about us is it's a comparative trust because luckily everyone else sucks. So that's our biggest advantage.
Yep. All right, let me tell you about Lear Capital. If you are concerned about what is going on, taking charge is what you need to do. We are in scary times. These are not the best of times. They might be, but we are walking a very, very tight rope. Little teeny margin for error here. Lear Capital could be a partner in helping you take hold of your financial future by protecting it with precious metals like gold or silver. If you have anything in reserve, you don't necessarily want it in anything that is paid out in dollars. Gold or silver is a commodity. It can be paid out in anything. It's not dollar linked. So it's not going to go down if the dollar starts to go down. It'll actually go up, and that's what you need. Lear Capital is there. Please call them today. Get your free $4,200 gold report. Call 800-957-GOLD, 800-957-GOLD. Get $15,000 in free gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. Call 800-957-GOLD. Call them right now, please. 800-957-GOLD. 10 seconds, station ID. Okay, so on the TV show tonight, the Wednesday night special on Blaze TV, a closer look at how so-called free trade has destroyed American jobs. The markets are spinning from President Trump's tariff strategy. Globalists are all clutching their pearls, but I'm going to zoom out and show you a bigger picture tonight. The story how the elite-driven trade policies over the last 30 years have gutted the middle class. We went back, we looked at NAFTA, the WTO, all of this stuff that was supposed to be very, very good for America. While the elites have won and the corporations have won and other countries have won, you have not. You've seen the shuttering of a good deal of your town. That's all because of these globalist plans. And Trump's tariffs are not just policy, they are rebellion against a managed decline, a gamble to restore American self-reliance. Is it going to be prosperity from here, or is it going to be chaos? You'll see tonight, find out how free trade destroyed American jobs, because it wasn't exactly free trade. That's tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern on Blaze TV, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/glennbeck.
That's going to be an interesting one to watch. Can't wait to tune into that.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And you're going to be on my show as well, Stu Does America today. Maybe we can. Are you feeling okay?
Oh man,
you went white there.
I'm sick. I'm really, really.
Oh yeah, but we're going to talk about preview your show.
Wow,
and discuss.
Are you hosting it?
Well, yeah, of course.
Oh my gosh! Oh
wow,
my gosh! I am.
You look worse all of a sudden.
Might be in the hospital. What time do you tape?
Oh, just a little bit after.
Wow. I think that's the time I'm going to have to be in the hospital.
Oh no,
Glenn Beck.
Okay, you know what they say? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but when somebody's out there buying flat screen TVs, booking luxury vacations, and driving off in a brand new convertible, all pretending to be you, that's not flattering. That's theft. You can try solving identity theft on your own. It'll be fun, kind of like wrestling a bear or defusing a bomb blindfolded, or just with the knowledge that you have with nobody on the other end of the phone. Or you can use cutting-edge technology and 24/7 monitoring with LifeLock. They'll keep an eye on your personal information and alert you to all the potential threats before they become problems. They do that by constantly scanning the web for potential threats. And if your identity is ever compromised, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration team is yours to step in and help you reclaim what's yours. There are a lot of bad people out there with equally bad intentions, and they're going to get somebody's money, but it doesn't have to be yours. Thankfully, it's easy to protect yourself with LifeLock. Join now, save up to 40% off your first year with the promo code Beck. Call 1-800-LifeLock, 1-800-LifeLock, or LifeLock.com. Use the promo code Beck for 40% off now. LifeLock.com, promo code Beck.
You can get Glenn TV and Studios America, so much more as well at blazetv.com/Glenn. Get $30 off your annual subscription. It's blazetv.com/Glenn.
Stu and I were just talking in the break about how everything is very, very complex now. We don't know, we're shifting as a people, as a movement, as a country, and there are new ideas that some of them are old ideas that we have been against, and I still kind of am. When it comes to tariffs, et cetera, and I am for free trade, that you need to make sure that you understand the whole complex system of what happened. What happened with our free trade, it's all built on the foundation of Nixon, of coming in and saying, okay, we're going to get off the dollar, and we're getting off the gold reserve. And that way, you can't turn your money in for gold anymore, and we're not pegged to gold. And the whole world freaked out. And so what happened? Well, when the whole world freaked out, then he said, okay. We're going to become a consumer. You make the products now, and we'll become the consumer because we have everything we need. So free trade, when it's built on that basis, it's not good. It's not good. And that's kind of what we did. And so you have to understand, when you have the reserve currency and you are violating it because you want to keep spending money, and so you promise everybody, so they keep the world reserve currency, they keep it in their vaults, we're going to buy all of your products, so we're going to become the big consumer. You can only do that for so long before you rot the country and you have nothing left, because all you are just consumers. So we're gonna get into that tonight. Also, I have some good news for you. Kind of a tax day miracle. It looks like over 20,000 IRS employees took Trump's second buyout offer. So we're only 60,000 away from actually getting rid of all those other ones that Joe Biden hired. Or did we fire? Do we just say we're not doing that? Do you know? I don't think so.
I remember, I think a lot of them were hired, but I think we were able to bail on some of them before we stopped the process, essentially. That's one of the big things when we're talking about this on Studios America tonight as well, about how much of this money, we're talking about $5 trillion, is still kind of hanging around and not spent yet that Joe Biden promised.
Can we stop?
Can we reverse that? I don't know.
Can we pay down the debt? Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, pay down the debt, lower taxes, do the things that we as conservatives have always argued that would be helpful to the economy. And by the way, things that Trump did in his first term, at least as far as the tax cuts go. But again, just renewing the tax cuts that we got in 2017 is not a tax cut.
No,
it's not a tax cut, and it doesn't cost us anything.
No.
To keep those in place or lower those rates, because you know what? That's money that is ours, not the government's.
I have to tell you, a tax cut I would really, really like, and this is more, local and state, property taxes. I find property taxes the most immoral taxes. That and capital gains. The most. Yeah.
Wow, that's a big statement.
Tell me what's more immoral. I have earned my money, so I paid taxes on my money. Then I go take it and I spend my money, and I spend my money on a house, and I pay taxes when I buy that house.
Right.
Now I'm just living in my house.
Mm-hmm.
And they
the
come
thing you
to
already
me,
purchased.
Right. Mm-hmm. Then they come to me for more taxes every year.
Oh, yeah.
And even if my house, I buy a Rolls Royce and I can't afford to keep it up, so now it's a Volkswagen, it doesn't really matter because my property taxes will keep going up. Even though I can't fix the roof, so now I've got a Volkswagen, and it's not a good Volkswagen. It's not working. It's an old beat-up one. My property tax is still going up.
Huh.
And then
pretty immoral.
I can't pass it on to my kids because they can't afford the death tax or the property tax. It's immoral. You don't really own. You're renting from a really bad landlord.
Yeah, no, I think that's incredibly immoral. I would capital gains again. You've taken money, you've earned it, you've paid taxes on it, you invest it, and then you get taxed on it again.
Yeah, double taxation.
No, I'm wrong.
Triple taxation.
I mean, you mentioned the death tax briefly there. That one feels to me to be slightly more immoral, if you want an immoral scale. Because of the fact that, you should be able to do with what you want with your money. Because your life has gone away, the government shouldn't seize it. You should be able to give it to the people that you want to give it to, your family, your whoever, a charity, whoever you want to support. Obviously, charity can help you get around those things.
I would put those in this. I put it in the same category as property tax.
I think it's similar.
I mean, they're absolutely immoral. I mean, look at property tax. I pay my taxes. My kids are in school. I have no problem paying for my kids in school. I have no problem helping my neighbor's kid, in school and pay for theirs. But at some point when I'm old and I'm on Social Security and I can barely afford the property taxes to stay in the house that I've been living in my whole life, but, I never made a lot of money. I bought the house years ago, and now it's worth so much money because the neighborhood and inflation and everything else, I can no longer afford the taxes. Well, wait a minute. Why am I still paying taxes? If I'm a senior citizen, why am I still paying property tax? I'm not. I'm barely going anywhere. Maybe I'm going to the store or, out to eat at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when there's not a lot of traffic.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't have any kids in school. Why am I still paying that property tax? It's immoral.
I totally agree. It's immoral. Can we at least enter into the conversation? I mean, payroll tax has entered the chat. The payroll tax is another horrible tax, which The issue with the death tax, I think, is more immoral, perhaps, than payroll taxes. But when it comes to economic impact, it's lower, right? Most people don't pay the death tax, for example. Property,
but they pay property tax.
If they own a home,
yes.
So you're talking about half the I don't know what the exact percentages.
Now
owners
it's 4 people
renters.
now,
and of course, as a renter, you're still paying toward that for the landlord.
Yeah.
So you sort of are paying property tax even when you rent. Payroll tax is another one I would argue. I mean, it was designed specifically to make you believe you are paying into some system, Social Security, that's basically a savings and investment plan.
It's not.
It's not at all. It's just like every other government program. But the rich people pay into it, and you're not paying into your own system. You're paying into this giant thing where evil rich people who we all hate so much pay more into it and in raw dollar amounts. But this particular tax, when it comes to percentages, is actually a regressive tax. It's a tax that you always hear these arguments. Oh, Warren Buffett pays less than his secretary. Almost always not true, right? These are all BS arguments. When it comes to payroll tax, though, it is true because you only pay payroll tax on the first, $100,000, $200,000 in income. I can't remember what the number is. It changes every single year. But if you make $100 million, you just stop paying that payroll tax. It is a regressive tax percentage-wise on people who make less than that amount. And that one, I think, it was also set up by FDR to specifically convince people of the validity of this program. Everyone inherently knows, wait a minute, welfare. We should be really tough on that welfare thing because, wait a minute, we're all paying into this and we're not getting anything out of it, right? It's this system that we all pay into and we don't get anything out of. It always feels that way, and people don't like it because of that. It feels like this system that we're just, giving away our money to somebody else that, might need help, but is that the government's role? With Social Security, we were fooled a long time ago to believe we're paying into this system that doesn't even exist. This payroll tax doesn't pay for the Social Security system.
No, there's a lockbox.
We're going insolvent. There's no lockbox.
No, they put it in a lockbox.
We are paying for the people, just like welfare, just like every other bad government program we might not like. We are paying now into the system.
But listen,
to support today's retirees.
Listen, if we would have put this, let's say, in the year 2000,
sure,
if we would have put our Social Security money as just individuals,
oh gosh,
into the stock market. Okay, and do you think we'd have more money coming to us every month now in retirement if I had it in there for the last 30 years, and now I'm pulling it out? Do you really think I would have had more money?
Dramatically so, Glenn. Yes.
Really?
You would have way more money. People are like, well, what about 2008? First of all, the policy actually, because it was Bush in 2000 talked about it, but he didn't actually start trying to put it in until 2005 after he won his reelection. That was kind of his big, hey, I won. I get to do something, right? I want to privatize Social Security. It was something like 4%. He wanted to be able to put into your own investments. Everybody complained about it. Everybody said it was so terrible.
So dangerous.
It was so dangerous. And of course, people were like, well, then 2008 happened and everyone would have lost their money. Well, first of all, no, because there was a specific thing in there for people that were close to retirement that they wouldn't be involved in this process. So that was shielded. It would not have happened. But the stock market went up enough that everybody now would have been making much more money, considerably more money in Social Security if that policy had passed. It was a policy that was obviously correct. Now, again, you can argue you don't want to participate. By the way, that was also part of the policy. If you didn't want to participate, you didn't have to participate. There was no one
wouldn't
forced
have participated? Honestly, who would not have participated?
Maybe some liberals would have been convinced by their politicians that it was dangerous.
But after you saw that it wasn't dangerous, I mean, that would have only lasted a short period of time. When you saw that nobody would have lost their money in 2008,
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there would have been some people terrified by 2008 or 2020, right?
Correct.
That would have been scared away. They're not
but
people that are risk
shielded.
averse. Right?
Yeah, you're shielded.
Yes, some people would have been shielded. Like if 2020, if you retired in 2020, you may have taken in less money than you would have in 2019. However, as compared to what people actually got in 2019 and 2020 by maintaining the same policy, you would have still been much better off in 2020. And that was obviously a pretty obscure year, right? Like if you happen to retire exactly at that point, most people would have said, well, wait a minute, maybe I work one more year here.
Right.
And then they would have bounced back up and done much better in 2021, even though, there was lots of still issues going on with the economy. But again, you have a year.
Seemed to do well.
The stock market did fine, and you had all those years of gains before that. That's the point. It's not a short-term thing where you pull all your money out in the one bad year. It's just like right now, people that are pulling their money out, is thinking, oh gosh, it's down X percent from the absolute peak of when Donald Trump was elected. True, it is down. But I mean, when you look at the long-term trends, things are going in the positive direction.
I think you're right that is immoral because they lie. They're lying to you. And
yes,
and you're getting it's a massive ripoff for
it's bad policy.
It's just bad. It's just horrible.
So I don't know if it's as immoral as the death tax or property tax. You make a good case. Property tax is pretty immoral. What about
property tax? Let me just say this. What is the whole point of the Constitution? What's the whole point of our law? The whole point of the Declaration of Independence? Life, liberty, property.
That was the original phrasing, not pursuit of happiness.
Right.
We
didn't want to say property because you didn't want to include slaves. And then you would have had this argument with the South that they would have said, hey, but that's my property. So they did pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and property. Your idea in America is that everyone can own property, unlike the way it is over in Europe, where just a few people own property. And you can own a little bit of it around these giant estates. You were to be able to own your own property. You don't own your own property. It's a violation. I continue to pay for something that I own, and it's a violation of our very idea. It is the most un-American tax there is. It guarantees you never own anything. I think it's immoral. Back in just a second. In every family, there is one relative. You know the one that stocked their basement like they're planning for the apocalypse, the one that gets teased at family gatherings, gets the tinfoil hats as gag gifts. You know that one. I know, I'm that guy in my family too. But let's be honest, when disaster strikes, whose door do you think the family members are going to be knocking on first? Right. And that's why I point out I have loaded guns. Anyway, if you're like me, you prefer to be the one that's prepared long before things get actually rough. You should check out My Patriot Supply, because right now they're offering a mega 3-month emergency food supply kit, delicious meals, plus over $360 worth of real meat and fruits and vegetables included at no charge. This is their 2,500 calorie per day packet, and it stays fresh for up to 25 years. Comes in stackable tubs that blend discreetly into your garage, your pantry, or your fallout shelter, whatever you might have. And it'll be there when you need it. The kit ships quickly and very discreetly. If you've been waiting for the right time, it's now. MyPatriotSupply.com. Claim your mega kit while this offer lasts. It's MyPatriotSupply.com.
This is Glenn Beck.
CBD, is it part of your wellness routine yet? This might be a great chance to give it a shot. April is CBD Awareness Month, which is not just a date on the calendar. Actually, it's also basically an excuse for CB Distillery, which is one of the most trusted names in the industry, to give you a giant sale. That's basically what it is. Right now, you can save up to 60% off on everything in their store. That's a huge savings. And if you've ever been curious about CBD, or you want to, you weren't tried it before, maybe didn't love it so much, this is a great chance to give it another shot. Because thank you for walking in front of the camera, Glenn. It's very much for you. He can't duck low enough now to get under it. It's sad. Okay, this CBD Distillery's been around a long time. They're not some knockoff company selling gas station gummies. This is a premium quality plant-based wellness company. They have no fillers, no synthetic stuff. Just clean, effective solutions that people swear by. And we're not talking about obscure stuff that nobody uses. They've got this Relief Stick, which is their #1 bestseller. It's great for post-workout soreness or everyday aches and pains. You just roll it on and you feel the difference. If sleep has become your latest battle, well, their sleep gummies are a game changer. Here comes Glenn again. There he goes. Check this out. It's at cbdistillery.com. cbdistillery.com. If you use the code VIP, you're going to save right now. VIP is the code. It's at CB Distillery right now. Remember, 60% off for the Awareness Month sale at cbdistillery.com. The code is VIP.
So Sarah Gonzalez from Blaze TV just wrote in. She said, hey, another thing on property tax. It's unrealized gains. It's a tax on unrealized gains. I had never thought of it that way.
It's a great point.
She's absolutely right.
You buy a house for $200,000. It's now supposedly worth $250,000. You haven't gained that $50,000 yourself, but you're paying taxes.
You should pay the tax on. I mean, look at what just. Now we're saying, well, you should pay the tax on the lower. No, you shouldn't pay the tax at all.
Right. The tax shouldn't happen at all. But if you're going to charge the tax, it should be on whatever you paid for the house.
Right. How is that not unconstitutional?
And then they give you the capital gains tax when you sell it at the higher value. It's got these people. It's
they are
unbelievable.
So bad. They're so bad.
What about the immoral taxes, like the emergency taxes? Like there was one in Pennsylvania from a flood many, many years ago.
Oh, yeah.
That the flood went away, but they just kept charging the tax. And still to this day are.
There's the one in Pennsylvania, too. It wasn't just the flood. It was a railroad bridge.
Okay.
Had gone out. One of those big, long bridges, you used to see with a steam engine. It went out, and they had to rebuild it. And so they put this big tax on. I guess they're still rebuilding that railroad bridge for the steam train to get across.
Long bridge.
Long bridge.
How about the taxes you pay increases when they want to build new stadiums for billionaire owners? And they're like,
those are good. Those are good for the city.
I love sports, but I do not want to pay a tax to support some freaking stadium.
This is Glenn Beck.